Hello everyone. Today I'm gonna go over whatever we covered in class, but for the purpose of helping you complete the assignments, especially for those who were not able to attend the classes last week. So this is the data set provided to you. Last time we learned about interesting date-related functions as in year. Of course, the year function takes the date as its argument or a parameter here, the month, and most importantly, the weekday. The weekday doesn't take only the date as a parameter, but also, as you can see here, took the date, but also takes the format in which you would like to order the weeks, the day of the weeks. The days of the week. So that is something a little bit new probably to some of you. Then we also talked about lookup tables. We have some different types of lookup tables. We have vertical lookup tables, we have horizontal lookup tables, and X lookup tables. So in this case, vertical lookup, we created this lookup table because we want to define the order of the weekdays as follows. Monday is assigned number 1 all the way in a stepwise increment of 1 until we reach Sunday to be corresponding to 7. So this is vertical table because your data here, all this data is of what? Of the same type, numeric, and this is the sequence in a vertical format in a column, and these are the weekdays also in a column. So it's a vertical lookup table that takes this data, this information, this kind of data entry, which is 2. So this 2, I want you to take this 2 and look for it in this table, in this look day, which is a lookup day table over here. And I want you, once you find it, for example, here's the algorithm. We'll look for 2. There's no 2 in this row. Next, there is a 2 in this row. What to do? What do you want me to do? I want you to return the second column. And this is why we have 2 over here. Now, this area, if you, of course, wait a minute. I showed you this in class. For example, in Excel, you have the name of the a cell right there. It is B4. You can actually rename B4 to whatever name you like. I'm gonna name it Nora. So now, once I hit to any other cell, it's still C6, as you can see here. But this cell in particular, which cell was it? Uh-oh. It didn't take the name. I don't think it took the name. Okay, let's see here. A4, let's call it here, Nora. Hit enter. Yeah, you need to hit enter. So now you see this is B4, but this, when you click on it and you select it, it's Nora. So the same applies to a range. So all this range, you can select it, and as you can see, I called it look day, and don't forget to hit the enter box. Okay, good. So there's a name box here. So there's interesting things that you've learned about Excel if you didn't know them before. How to extract a month or a year from a date, as well as how to extract a weekday. And even after extracting a weekday and putting it into numbers, you might want to also view it in terms of, as you can see, text. So you can do this as well. Good. So this is the first step in time series data, working with date. Okay, do you understand why we started with this? I will summarize again. We are working with time series data in this bakery, Le Petit bakery data set. So date is of a paramount importance here. This is why I am showing you different functions that could be very helpful when you are working with dates. Okay, good. Now let's get started. let's get started here in the book. So, as you can see, the very beginning of our lecture, we had to say that Le Petit Bakery sells cakes, pies, cookies, coffee, and smoothies. And the owner has hired you to analyze factors affecting sales of these products with pivot tables for analysis. So what are you going to do? You're going to do exactly what I showed you just now. You are experimenting with the the data. We also learned how to do the VLOOKUP. And don't worry, I'm not going to quiz you in the first quiz about on VLOOKUPs, but I might ask you little questions. What is V stands for, and so on. And then over here, I also explained this in class. It's just the way that Excel has an embedded style for showing the days of the week. Now here's what we really want to do. So now you will learn how to use pivot tables to summarize how Le Petit Bakery sales are affected by the day of the week, month of the year, upward or downward trends, and the promotions. Definitely, if you are working with time series data, that would be the introduction of the time series data, which is exploratory analysis. How do you uncover certain important trends? So first thing first is summarizing the effect of the day of the week on the bakery sales. Of course, you probably started breakdown sales over day of the week. As you can see, this is what we did in class. I hope that this is what you've learned that we did in class. We created a pivot table by, of course, I'm gonna go over this even though I shouldn't. You just go here. It doesn't matter sometimes if you keep your cursor in a populated cell or not in the new Excel, but based on the previous Excel versions, I still have the very good habit of keeping the cursor selecting a populated cell and then go to insert and pivot table. And then when I inserted and created the pivot table, I also changed the sheet name to breakdown sales over day of the week. Okay, very good. And over here we created our first pivot table at the very beginning. Our first pivot table had weekday on rows and had all the sales, the data of sales here on the under values. If this data, again I'm saying it, if this data was presented in such a way that cakes, pies, cookies, smoothies, and coffee, which are all the items of products that are sold in that bakery, were all put in one variable labeled products, for example, and another variable that has the amount for each time stamped accordingly, then the pivot table will be formed differently. Over here, you will have the weekdays, and on columns, you will have products. But because we don't have this kind of arrangement, we are just going to put the products under values. And instead of average, you can just go over here and right-click, summarize values as an average, okay? Unfortunately, you have to do this with each and every entry in the table. This is why most of the time you will see me giving you probably the products under one labeled variable. Okay, so once you got the averages here, and this is because we want to see the effect of a weekday. So then the extra thing that we don't have in the slides, which is based on the book, and it won't be acceptable to me, is not having the years in filters. So I need you to show the effect of the weekdays versus weekend sales for any of the products, over time. So you need to give me here 2013. So this is the sales in 2013. Then copy that as per the first assignment, paste it, and then you select another here pivot table and just change the filter into 2014. Well, I see almost similar behavior in 2014. And then along to 2015, I also see exactly similar behavior to 2015. So this is quite an interesting way of analyzing the data. As you can see, here is also a timeline. This is 2000, if this is all here, this is 2013, then 2014, then 2015, and as you can see, this also changes. So you could do all this also if you insert, go to insert and timeline. If you go to insert and have timeline, then over here you can show 2013. If you expand it like that, you're showing 2 years together. But in fact, I want to see how the data changes per the years. As you can see, we don't have data in 2016. So this is 2013. This is 2014. Seems like the sales are growing. There's a little bit of dip here compared to here. Okay, then there's no data here. So you can also do this if you want. However, it is a better practice that you, for example, just forget about this whole thing, the timeline for now, and just put the data, as you can see, based on different years. Okay. Actually, you can see here, it is almost reaching the 700, but over the time, it actually got closer to the 700, do you see? But the trend is the same. The pattern is the same. Some of you might not have Monday, starting from Monday all the way until Sunday. Some of you, even though they went to insert and they went to insert pivot table and a chart, they might not also have all this, as you can see, showing, and the filters of the year showing and everything. It's all right as long as it's correct. And also some of you might have a different arrangement, not starting from Monday, starting from Sunday. So the effect will be a little bit starting from a peak, then a dip, and then a peak, depending on the order of the weekdays. I'm not going to waste our time today telling you and teaching you how to change the order of the days. It's not important as long as your analysis is correct. This is what matters. So this is the correct way of doing things, not like in the book. In the book, the author is telling us just do this. Do all the data aggregated for all the years and take a look. But this is under the assumption that the data has the same cyclic pattern. But we don't know if the data has the same cyclic pattern. So it's a good practice that we expand, because this is time series data. Time series should keep the timeline expanded. If you took my other course in Big Data Analytics, this will come to you at ease. And actually, if I just follow the book blindly, some of the smart students in my class will tell me, hey, hold on, haven't you said that this and that, and we took it in Big Data Analytics? Yes, sure we did. So this is, guys, the right thing, the right way of doing things. We don't need to just follow blindly a textbook, even though this is one of the bestest, in fact, textbooks, and I'm sure the author has a point. Okay, the example chart here shows that all products sell more on the weekend than during the weekday, of course. Now, analyzing product seasonality. So, let's take a look. We want to see if there is products that sales or sell higher or lower than the average during certain quarters. So why do we use the average here? We use the average because this is our baseline. So are you above average? Are you below average? Did you sell above average at certain times, certain quarters, certain months, or sold less? From a marketing standpoint, you must determine the presence and magnitude of seasonality. This is what the author tells us. But unfortunately, he goes over presence but not the magnitude, because there is a seasonality index calculations you need to go over and all that. So based on this, let's get started. Let's take a look at the quarter, an average quarter. So this is an example. Most of the seasonality happens in terms of quarter, but well, let's see how I would like you to approach this. Again, you will have to go over data and insert a pivot chart. And over here, you created a pivot chart. I need to show the field list. This is the date, as you can see. And now, this date somehow is put in terms of a quarter. How is that possible? It is possible through grouping. So, you might have your date presented in terms of well, days, months, for example, as you can see. This is in terms of months, as you can see. And you can group it also in terms of quarters. So let's group again in terms of quarters. It shows, as you can see here, better or smoother pattern. However, you know me by now. I do not agree that we look at patterns without expanding the timeline. For this purpose, we need to add the year here. You see here the year. So when I created this is called monthly seasonality, yeah, not quarter seasonality. This is a quarter seasonality. Okay. So this is monthly. So let's do it monthly as the sheet implies. So first let's do monthly seasonality. Of course, you need to change these patiently into average, and you know how to do this. You right click and you go over show values, summarize values or aggregate values as an average. Okay, summarize or aggregate values as an average. Over here, you got a group and group per a month. And here we go. So this is the monthly seasonality. Okay, so over the months, you can, in fact, see if this demonstrates any seasonality. However, I don't like it this way. I really like to add a filter here. I need the year in the filter. Now, if you look over here, we were able to add a filter here in years. Do you see? Because I added the years here. Do you see that? Okay, I see that. In fact, I don't only have year, but I have also month. Okay. So over here, for some reason, when I created this, I need okay, I need to add here the field. I maybe selected. Okay, let me insert here a pivot table again. In existing worksheet, location is here. Example. Maybe it didn't take it because, okay. You know what's wrong? What's wrong is I created this whole thing before I created the year. So, my fault. Let's do it all over again. What can we do? Existing, I already have the existing here. So let me go somewhere where there's a space for it. Okay, you guys. And okay, what's the difference? Now I have the year here. So you want a monthly, you can put the month, yeah? Or you can put the date, if you have the date here, as you can see. This is the date. And then you can put cakes, pies, cookies, smoothies, coffee, yeah, as you can see. And in the filter then you can add the date, because once you're in the filter you cannot put, sorry, not month, you can put the year. If you add date here instead, you cannot group based on within the filter, okay? All this, I would like it to be an average, yeah? And then I can just put here cakes. Okay. Okay. Leave it as is then. And over here, the pies. Cookies. This is what you were doing, right? You've been doing this, this, and this, you guys. Little patience. This is okay. Sorry, Gomine. Last one is the coffee. An average here. All is good. Yes. We can get rid of all these guys that I did earlier. Now we are talking. I don't like this format. So 2 digits are enough. You want to add a currency? Why not? Add a currency. You're good to go now. All right. So over here, I'm gonna select year 2013 and hit OK. And then this is monthly. So the date should be grouped in terms of a month. So I want you to express monthly seasonality. So what am I gonna do? I'm gonna here do group, and it should be monthly, not quarterly. Okay, so now this is cool and nice. You can, if you want, just insert a line, as you can see here, or insert a pivot table. So this would be showing the visual representation. Then this is not done with the assignment. You just need to, here another pivot table, 2014. I know some of you might say, why don't you copy this along? Sometimes I do have problems. Yeah. You see, this is too much for me. I'm just going to take this instead. It's an easier way. You see, it saves me time. And now you are ready to rock and roll. Here it is. And then you can take these and also create a line graph. So as you can see, this data shows here, there's more peaks here, and you can easily compare the cookies. First of all, the average is around 500, and a little bit increasing. Okay, okay, 5 and 6, and then you have a cycle here very clearly on the smoothies in summer. So that's a very clear cycle here in for the summer. Now the same thing you have to do, exactly same thing as I did here, but for the third question. Third question is basically, this is how the author did it, aggregated over all the years, but as a matter of fact you need to expand the timeline. Also, another thing that you need to do is the quarter seasonality, not monthly seasonality, but in terms of a quarter. So here, as you can see, this is how the author want to do it. The author want to do it in terms of a quarter. So, sorry, I have to group this in terms of a quarter. So here it is. And here we go. You have the quarter, quarter one, quarter two, quarter three, quarter four, for different product sales. So this is not the appropriate way of seeing things. As you can see, this is in 2013. This is in 2014. This is in 2015. And there is no data after 15. So this is, for these guys here, seems like there's not much going on in 2015, 14, and 13. However, for the smoothies, it seems like we do have a slight increase followed by a higher increase in quarter 2 and 3 respectively in 2013, and the same applies to 2014. 2014, this pattern is also coupled with a growth in sales in general, because as you can see, the line is actually shifting up. So here shifting up, and over here probably because we are plotting different products. In class, I told you that maybe there's another way in looking at things, which is each product at a time. So this is quite interesting. This is another way that you can take a look at seasonality over quarters or over different months. You can do, as I do here, each year separate, which is my favorite. And over here also, if you already know that the years by now, in terms of week of the day, you've seen that seems like over the years the data set maintains certain patterns, and also in terms of monthly seasonality, then for quarterly by now you expect that the sales are showing similar patterns over the years. You can just add the timeline, however, which is attained by going to insert and timeline. However, if you don't add this timeline, to me, I don't consider you a good analyst. Thus, I do not consider giving you the full mark for your work. A good analyst, again, will go over the time series over time, expand the time, okay? At least in terms of years. Of course, you can put in terms of, for monthly, you can put in terms of quarters or, but we need to see the expansion in terms of years. Now, sales and the trend. How do we come to understand the trend, and what is a trend? A trend is the tendency of increasing over time or decreasing over time. So here, what did I do? Let me see. Show field list, and this is before I added the year. Okay, so in any case, this is all averages, okay, and everything is all right. However, this is a very messy analyst, right? You won't want to hire me then, really, with this mess, right? Now, probably you might consider hiring me. Okay, good. So now this is the data, all right, and this is the corresponding chart. Now let's take a look. Added the date over here. Okay, so if you want to see the trend, usually this will be not smooth. You're seeing also a cyclic pattern. But for this, you might want to see it as follows. click on year, quarter, and month and hit OK and see what happens. So now you can see, this is the timeline here. Let me get rid of the timeline for now, okay? And consider all the data. Sorry, there was something here added. So we will have here, let's collapse. I'll show you. So now you have the 3 years. Basically, when you're looking at a trend, this is all what you need. Over here, when you group the date, you can group the date in such a way that it shows a hierarchical pattern, year, quarter, and date. So basically, you could do a whole time series analysis in terms of trend. You can easily see the trend that is increasing if you're looking at the year. You can expand to quarters, as you can see here beautifully, for this year, for the next year, for the year after, yeah, in one single chart. So this is the right way of doing things. The right way of doing things is to see that there is a cycle here, peak, then down, peak, then down, peak, then down. Do you see that? And the peak usually around these months. Here is August, July, June, and October, as you can see. Again, here is July, August, around this is the peak. Again, here is August and July for the average of smoothies. Do you see that? And this is the year 2013. Does it look more or less like Tableau now? Yes. Isn't this the kind of thing that I will ask you to do with Tableau? Yes. So now you can see that here, quarter seasonality, yeah, it is just a screenshot. Monthly seasonality is just a screenshot, yeah. Breakdown week over the day of the week could be done if we take only one. Let's show the pivot table, please. And this pivot table, these are the day of the week, and we wanna this question we just gonna add a group. Cannot group the selection. This is not based on the date. So this is why. Do you see why? That's right. So do you see why? We can't create some nice, beautiful timeline, appropriate timeline kind of chart. It starts from the year and it's quarters. Next year it's quarters and it's months. Then the next year with the breakdown of the quarters and the months. We can't do the same here because these are the days of the week, and this is why we opted for the filter. Do you understand the difference now? So for days of the week, if we have it as a separate data variable here, then of course we're gonna do as we've done in class. What's happened? Okay, so now this is the monthly seasonality and quarterly seasonality. In fact, we could do both these, for example, as you can see, if we go right click, for example, over here, and we choose group. And instead of grouping by only quarters, we can group by both quarters and months. And now look at this beauty. You don't even need the timeline. So you could see it one at a time, the data. So you don't need this now. So it should select all the data. So please either use this or this. And the best way to do it is actually go after or go over, as you can see here. Definitely this is not quarter seasonality. You need to collapse. If you collapse these, this will show you any quarter seasonality. But where is the year? That is the problem. Do you see? So this is why I add usually to this the year. Do you understand the importance of adding the year here? So then this is why I did the timeline. So do you understand the difference here? I need the year. If you put year here, you put date, it's going to give you months here. It's not going to give you based on a year, unless you add the year here, which is the better way to do. So I'm going to add also years, and now here years has popped up here. And then now you take the date and you don't need a filter. So here is the year, but this is a trend. This is not seasonality. So what do? Just expand once, and expand once, and now you have the quarter seasonality. Do you see? So I opted for the method of the book. The method of the book, I amended it in a very simple way, but now is the professional way of amending it, of adjusting it. This is the professional way. Through this date hierarchy, you can expand. The year is important. For each year, you show the quarters. So this now you can show the quarters. Monthly seasonality is no different. So here, I'm gonna group, but not based on month only, based on month and year. And hit OK. And yes, hit OK, hit OK, hit OK. And now I will get rid of this filter. Do you see? Sorry, I need to show the field data. So the way we do this is I need to get rid of the year here. Yes. Well, actually, I don't need other pivot table reports. I don't need all this. Here's delete. So now I want only this pivot table, and I'm going to get rid of it. So now I have the months for each year. Do you guys see that? So today is a very interesting technical skill. So you need to show the year, then the month. The year, then the month. The year is the top point in the hierarchy, and this the month. The year and then the month. This is how you show the monthly seasonality. This is how you show the monthly seasonality, the months over time. This is how you show quarterly seasonality. Over here, I think even over here, I don't know why I kept months here. That's it, just year, quarter, year, quarter, year, quarter. You see that? Year, quarter, year, quarter, year, quarter. For monthly seasonality, you have year, month, year, month, year, month. Okay, so now sales a trend. Sales a trend, basically, you need to also do the grouping just based on a year. Do you see the difference? Over here, you just need the year so that you can see the trend over the years. So over here, you can see this is 2013, then 2014, then 2015. Okay? Now, promotion and promotion, it's going to be captured, or I'm going to create another video for promotion versus non-promotion. Summary. First of all, we have learned very interesting functions to show only the year or the month. In case you are asked for the performance or gauging the performance here over different days of the week, because days of the week, as you can see, there is no way to group the date variable based on the day of the week, because if you hit here group, nothing will group really. There's nothing to group. You cannot group anything because this is the day of the week. So for this purpose, you would need to, you are obligated in such a case if you don't have the ability to expand the date or the time module in your analysis. Here it is the day of the week, don't have the ability to expand it in Excel, then you would need to add a filter for every year. You would need to add you would need to add a filter over here for different years, and I showed you how to get the year. So here this year 2013, 2014, 2015, seems like the data is showing the same behavior. Now when I asked you for monthly seasonality at the very beginning, I showed you how to do it based on this skill. So based on this technique you can do it, but there's a better technique, a more professional technique, which is the technique that allows us to take that date, this year's and date, this from date. So you take the date, not the sales, not the months, not whatever. You take the date, drag and drop here, and then you head out here and you group it. So over here you want to show seasonality in terms of monthly, so months and years, and expand it, and you can see a beautiful chart showing the behavior over different months, over all different months, over the timeline of available years in the dataset. Seasonality in terms of a quarter, we also can do it as we did in the days of the week, but a better and more professional way is to do it in terms exactly the same. We take the date. Let me show the field list here. This is nothing but a date. Take it out. Let me show you again, remind you, this is nothing but a date. But this date was actually presented in terms of years and quarters, and you gotta expand it. You see, you need to expand it so that you can show the quarterly seasonality. So when we grouped the year here, the date here, we grouped it year and quarter. Okay? For trends, usually we smooth it. So we take a linear kind of representation. So over here we showed either the year, you can take either the date and put it in terms of years, or if you invested some time and actually extracted here the year, then you can use that one instead. Doesn't matter really. Okay, so you can do it this way or the other way. So do you understand now why I showed you this in different ways, but this is the way I would like to see in the quizzes? Because sometimes you might need this kind of technique. Yeah, you won't be able to do the grouping. Yeah, so you would need to actually understand that what you need is a time, continuous time series, this year, over the coming year, and so on. Yeah, and the same applies to seasonality in terms of monthly or quarterly representation. Trend is basically the smooth linear line that is attained based on a year. Okay, so today this data set tells us a lot about dates and how to work with dates, either with different functions like this or either with functions like the weekday. Also tells us how important that we understand the built-in Excel capability of expanding the date, because you can right-click on a date and group it as you wish. If you want to show a trend which is either increasing or decreasing over time, you just take the years. If you want to show quarterly seasonality, if any, you show the years and quarters. If you want to show monthly seasonality, you choose or select, years and months and hit OK. Don't forget to expand it, and then you will get this beautiful graph that shows you the behavior not only over an aggregation of all the data over all the years in one snapshot, but it's going to show you that this is actually a cycle. It's happening over the years. Okay, now in the next video I'm going to go over promotion and no promotion effect. Goodbye now.